This week, both teams knew they had to have some form of success to avoid that promotion tournament. FlyQuest did what they needed to do against Team Liquid yesterday, picking up a scrappy win in a 3-game series. Phoenix1, they were up against TSM, were unable to take them down despite a close game too. But now, all that matters is winning this matchup. That gets them into 8th place, avoids the promotion tournament, means they keep their championship points, because this was the 3rd, 4th match last split.
Right, they come in with a lot of points. P1 to be guaranteed when FlyQuest basically just needs Envy to lose, and they are in as well. There's a little bit of help that FlyQuest would need to make sure they keep that spot, but we are into champs like Tristana off the table, not allowed for Arrow. P1 still respecting the Zac, one of the teams who actually still thinks that champion is great. FlyQuest, of course, respecting Specials, Thresh the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised the teams are still banning Zac, but we did get to see Phoenix1 lose to it yesterday, even though they kept it down in the early game, because the late game kidnap is still in full effect. And, you know, Svenskeren pulled in 2 critical members of Phoenix1 in the big fight, and they ended up losing the game. So they end up throwing a ban at that, but that means they give away Maokai, who I feel like is a much more reliable form of tank initiation.
I agree, he's very reliable, certainly a top-tier champion, and FlyQuest believes so the same, but Phoenix1 get to bargain Elise for that, and then get one of the queens of the jungle, but actually, not just yet. Grabbing that, Gragas is a flex. If they think Moon won't play it, maybe they can, you know, try a bit later on, but Elise would normally strike me as something you'd be jumping to grab.
I would be surprised if they don't play Elise unless they've completely shifted all of their practice and team composition towards tank junglers, because I was taking a look at player of the games the other day, and Mike Young jumped out and had a bunch of them. He has 6 player of the games already, even though he didn't start for the first 12 games, but only on 2 champions. He's only been able to get that award on Elise and Nidalee. And he's yet to do it on one of those tanks. And they had an opportunity to tank an often banned champion in one of Mike Young's best here, but instead they just match flex picks and pick Kog'Maw for Arrow. So this looks to me like they're not looking to play around Mike, they're looking to play around Arrow, and they're going to deprioritize his pick.
It's interesting, maybe they did call the bluff, though, as Moon locks in Jarvan for himself. So, you know, whichever way the flex actually goes with the Maokai Jarvan, FlyQuest clearly do not want to play Elise for themselves. This could have been P1's plan the whole time, saying we know Moon won't play it, they can get it later on. Or again, it's just not as important for them. They want the Gragas now, they want that Kog'Maw for Arrow, and maybe Ryu needs to match mid laners here.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of 5v5 brawling in the last few patches, so Elise wouldn't be as good in that meta. But you can still take over a game pretty early on with those types of champions, and as we see, just completely deprioritized in this draft.
Absolutely the case. We'll see if a ban comes through onto that one. Even if it does, Mike Young could always play Gragas himself in the jungle and wait for a top lane pick. We'll see what comes through onto this one. Ban started out with Phoenix1. They got 10 seconds to make their first choice, as FlyQuest needs an entire bot lane. Phoenix1 only needs the support from that role. They need a top jungle flex otherwise, so that might shape where the bans come in.
Yeah, seeing a lot more 80 carry bans today. So this is now the 4th 80 carry that's taken off the board. Kalista, Caitlyn, Trist, and Varus. It's going to pinch that bottom lane as much as possible. Jhin and Ashe are both still available, or something more mobile if Wild Turtle wanted to flex down to a Lucian or an Ezreal, but most likely going to be one of those Jhin or Ashe picks to fit with their heavy CC and strong frontline.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We'll see if that does come through into this one.
Oh, and Twitch. There's actually too many marksmen, I feel like,
and Sivir can work as well if you want to bring the tanks in and do damage to the grouped up front line. We'll see if that comes through. Gnar off the table as FlyQuest gets away from that. Not a surprise. No Blitzcrank here for elimination. And one final ban for FlyQuest before pick phase 2 starts.
Yeah, knowing FlyQuest has already locked in their most likely top lane or jungle, they can just throw bans at either role and then flex to whatever the best matchup they feel like is. So neither Maokai or Jarvan have a particularly favorable matchup against Gnar, which makes that a smart ban.
Absolutely the case. And we're going to see Alistar off the table as well, as they do not want to let Xpecial play another one of his very comfortable. Thresh and Alistar, I feel like, are 2 of the most Xpecial, like, word association champions I see. That said, they're going to go for Lulu, though, and really play around that Kog'Maw even more. There's 2 ways to do it, of course. You could have played a Braum in frontline for it, or you can buff it directly and rely on Zig and Mike Young for that role. There is a Lulu coming through, and as you mentioned, crowd control, Ashe right now is the hover for Wild Turtle.
Yeah, it would just be so much initiation for FlyQuest, is what you want against a team trying to do hyper carry, because you want to get on that guy immediately, bust him down, or through a ball of death. The Twitch we talked about scales with the Kog'Maw a little bit more.
Definitely does. We'll see if that can do well for himself. And of course, with Braum already unavailable, as Lulu's been locked in for Xpecial, we won't have any of that pass-through damage blocking that would normally be available. It's always fun to play Braum into that. not going to be the case. Phoenix1 actually going to wait to pick their top jungle flex, which is a little surprising to me since they know the two potential matchups, but they're going to keep waiting. FlyQuest going to grab a Karma Elimination Special to a certain degree, buffing up the entire team. You're not going to play Sivir, Karma can do the same thing.
Yeah, speed up the team, give Sensor to everyone if you build that item, which you should.
Yes.
Because it is really, really good. But now it's the last pick, and Phoenix1 did do this yesterday against TSM, where they're actually letting Mike Young get team comp counterpick.
Yeah.
Depending on if he wanted to play something different, he says, nope, it's fully now on to protecting the marksman, the Corki and the Cog.
And cutely enough, they're both pretty high in magic damage. Ryu is very magic damage focused, of course, in this Corki at this point in time in League of Legends, but the not too bad for the Kog'Maw as well. As Jap points out, we've got new Summoner Spell innovations, and turns out Prototype was right all along. The support should bring in Heal with the Wind Speakers, and you bring something selfish on the Marksman. I think it's actually okay to run Exhaust or even Ignite if you wanted to, but you're seeing Cleanse right now for Arrow, but Barrier for Wild Turtle to keep him alive. Yeah,
and we need to talk about this, actually, because it's a trend that's picking up very fast in the LPL in China, and if we don't see changes, I think it's going to spread a little bit more around the global League of Legends scene. Specifically, what we're talking about is heal on your support, barrier on your AD carry. And the way this manifests, and I really want to see if Lemonation does this, is you go Ardent Sensor as fast as possible with this build. You're defensive laning until you get Ardent Sensor, and then you hit a massive power spike with your bottom lane plus your shielder. And I want to see if they do that because they've gone for the defensive summoner spells that we've seen in China.
It's going to be a fun to watch for. It'll be hard to kill Wild Turtle, and the question is how many scrims have Phoenix1 played against this? We know it's the innovation. It's an innovation that's being driven from pro play, then into solo queue. You're going to wait a couple weeks until you start seeing the Challenger and the Master Tier bot laners do this frequently themselves as well, so you don't get a lot of practice unless you're scrimming teams against this. And if you're just simply not used to barrier heal and what dives you're actually allowed to go for, this can change up your game plan here. Game 1 is about to be ready to go. This is almost certainly going to be for a spot in the regional qualifier for Worlds. Only FlyQuest or Phoenix1, the winner of the series, can keep their points in, and one of those teams will have a chance at the postseason and a shot at Worlds. Here we go with Game 1.
Yeah, if FlyQuest wins, they definitely avoid the promotion tournament. We'll still need some things to fall in favorable ways to make the regional qualifier. For Phoenix1, since they finished 3rd in the spring, means they have 50 championship points compared to FlyQuest's 30. And that would be enough to make the regional qualifier, which happens the week after the summer finals.
Wait to be seeing what happens here under this one. Quick sapling comes down. Just want to point out Moon is in fact going for the Jarvan jungle with Maokai being into the top lane. So it's very standard tanks up there. We've seen this matchup 17 million times in the last year and a half. I'm sure Zig and Balls both know it pretty nicely. We are seeing Warlord's Bloodlust out of Arrow, and the normal summoner spells, or the old school summoner spells with Heal Exhaust on Arrow and Xpecial respectively. He did jump off that cleanse from before. Wanted to point that one out. Ball's going to put up some saplings to make sure his jungle is safe. We'll see if he actually gives his teammate a leash or not, or if that Jarvan wants to go for a Raptor start.
Yeah, so I could have seen the cleanse, but he doesn't want to have too weak of a laning phase. The cleanse would definitely help against Syndra stuns later in the game, but instead he's
trying to eat the saplings, but he's got to be afraid of getting hit. Zig, I think he wanted to take a sapling and make the leash a bit worse, but he's not able to do that easily. Here's the leash.
Yeah, either way, it's a 1 sapling hold for Balls there. You can stack up to 3 saplings in the brush if you start casting them at 1 minute, 8 seconds, and then get a 4th with the throw. So Zig, mildly successful. Feels like he distracted Balls, so he used a lot of them for scouting, but it doesn't slow down this clear very much at all.
Yeah, he's pretty much fine on this one. Mike Young now going to go ahead and knock down his Raptors to red clear as expected. He might have gotten a small leash from Ryu. That was pretty much fine here. Back and forth. Early push lead, just slightly to the P1 duo, although it's not going to mean too much. Turtle is going to reset the wave to exact equilibrium. Now Arrow going to get a bit of free time to attack. And looks like we've got a slightly faster start right now, though, for the FlyQuest jungle. He's on his 3rd camp already, so Moon is going to be available on the map after this camp. A few seconds before Mike Young would for the same.
Yeah, and also, we have a call on Wild Turtle. Basically, one of the thoughts is there's a... There could be a rock, paper, scissors in the bottom lane if you consider Doran's Blade losing to Doran's Shield, because the Doran Shield will kind of out-sustain that and you might win the all-ins. Then maybe Cull if someone goes Doran Shield and you're just trying to sustain up. It doesn't really work that way. Cull is just a worse combat item than Doran Shield, so you're going to get pushed in. But it's a thought if the Cog is going to go Doran Shield to play defensive, go Cull, also play defensive, but then get more gold later.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's two builds I can see Wild Turtle doing, one of which could be Ruin King Rush, one of which could be IE Rush. If you're going IE and you're going Fervor, you have no lifesteal. Again, unless Ardent Sensor comes in which case you're fine. But you want lifesteal from something, and when I know I'm not getting lifesteal and I'm not getting Warlords, I want to go Doran's Blade just to have 3% lifesteal because it later on in the game it actually means a whole lot. If he's going Ruin King, you don't need that. You just want a power spike sooner, and the 450 gold you get out of full stacking a Cull lets you kind of rush through the mid game, and that might be Turtle's choice here.
And here's my thought as well, since we do have double wind speakers, most likely Ardent Sensor using supports, I don't know if you need lifesteal, because if you're always getting shielded by an Ardent Sensor user, you're getting life on hit on every shot. So what we could see is a Wit's End first on arrow, which is what I normally see with Kog'Maw Lulu lanes.
Yeah, it's the new build.
And we may even see a Hurricane first for the Twitch, to better use the on-hits from the Ardent Sensor as well as trying to get the attack speed for it. But we'll see if these guys are completely as much on the Ardent Sensor hype train as we are, or if they're just doing shielding supports because there were a lot of tank support bans.
Yeah, I do think these teams will be Ardent Sensor users, and I think they'll get them pretty early. Maybe not before Sightstone, but we'll see. I actually talked to Cody-san about Wit's End Rush on Kog'Maw because he ran it earlier this week, and he said it's just the best build now. I don't think anyone's done hard math on it, but he's under the impression that it's just simply the new build. This might, again, as you talked about, Ardent Sensor's life on hit could just be part of the reason why, but it's everyone's new thing. Yeah,
well, specifically, when I watched EDG do it, who's the #1 team in the LPL right now, their support rushed Ardent Sensor before Sightstone, before second-tier support item, before anything else, and the Lulu and Kog'Maw hit Wit's End Ardent Sensor at 13 minutes. And then just the first time the enemy lane tried to trade, by the way, he was going Storm Raiders Kog'Maw instead of Warlords, which I think is the better variant if you're going to hit that power spike.
Agreed.
He pressed W, took the enemy support to 10% health, and then they took the turret immediately because the power spike was so strong. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're seeing them still build up these things. May as well talk about bot lane builds.
Yeah, it's exciting when bot lane becomes the place of metagame innovation, because then I have someone else to nerd out with about bot laners. Because as a color cast, you've got to kind of check out everything. I just have to look at my own role as a play-by-play. I don't need to be as smart. So it's fun to be able to nerd out with someone else. We are going to see, the early recurve bow out of Turtle, which is not going to be her. It is going to be a piece of Blade of the Ruin King. I could go into Wit's End, although I doubt we'll see Wit's End Twitch.
Yeah, can you imagine?
But it does mean that he's going for the I'm not getting lifesteal because I'm going to buy lifesteal. I'm going to power spike my Ruin King Hurricane sooner.
Yeah, and we're going to keep going on this actually because we can. The Kog'Maw Wit's End, you talked about Cody-san thinking that's the best build. The reason the math could work out, as we see again coming mid lane.
Gonna watch for this one, he's gonna get the knocker, but there was no way to react. Ryu had to flash the stun, but didn't know Jarvan was coming. First blood comes in for Moon and FlyQuest.
That's huge because High still has ultimate as well if they want to do a return gank, but they don't burn any summoner spells from Ryu, so that could be a big turnaround. The reason Wit's End would be the potentially best on Kog'Maw, though, is you're getting magic damage on hit from your Ardent Sensor, and then you're also shredding magic resist for that damage, and Kog'Maw's W does a lot of magic damage too, but here, Ryu goes in for an aggressive trade. The stun chains with the stun, so Ryu actually didn't have an opportunity to flash unless he flashed the stun from High, which would have been too early to use it, essentially.
Yeah, that's almost unreasonable, you know. And they say late doesn't strike the same place twice, but double Thunderlords, extra burst damage, made it happen. Congrats to Moon High. Yeah, certainly did. It struck Ryu. He fell out of the skies. Well, he's back though. Ryu's coming back on his Earth-riding Corki skin, and you ready to go. Going Phage first item, try to survive this a bit more. I have seen Hexbrinker rushes, but wants to finish Triforce with a bit of durability.
Yeah, I think that's a little risky since he gave up first blood already, but the kill didn't go to High, meaning he won't become super powerful super early. Note the longsword on arrow. Both these guys probably going for Blade of the Ruin King based on the items we do see.
Yeah, it doesn't build into almost anything else he'd start with. So going to be Ruin King starts with both these players. Arrow is not on the Wit's End hype train. For better or worse, I'm uncertain, but again, something we'll figure out over time, I'm sure. He1 knocking on some of the wards, and they're going to stay in his holding pattern in the landing phase. Small minion lead for Wild Turtle will be answered back quickly enough. Top lane is pretty close to equal, but it's really High, who's actually smashed mid lane over Ryu right now. Not only with the kill, but with a pretty big farm lead also.
Yeah, up top lane, the Maokai and Shen is not a very interactive lane.
No.
They have gone Grasp on the Shen, which is normal. You could have gone Grasp on the Maokai for a stronger laning, but it's not worth it because you're not really going to win the duels with Shen anyway as far as actually killing him. So going Courage for the team fights, I think is the right option for Maokai.
the case, and he's going to hopefully be a big, scary, happy tank. Zig, of course, already TP'd back to lane a while ago. He's got his Tiamat, and he's going to hope to stay in lane for a while. That TP's not up for 2.5 minutes. Level 6 available means it's going to be harder for FlyQuest to start a fight because Zig can join him with that shield. You can see actually Balls, as a result, was forced to keep his teleport available so that he can actually match the global. But still, again, that's a longer channel and a bit more interruptible all the same. MikeYeung trying to chase Moon out of his jungle, going to do so safely enough. Sitting still at this 1,000 gold difference as Ryu last hits under turret, and High looks for the harass with that blue buff.
Yeah, it's got a lot of power in that lane, and him and Moon want to try and play around it because this bottom lane is scaling as they are trying to be. Both of them playing very defensive. But the interesting thing about it is because they've both gone for Ancient Coin upgrade to No Man's Medallion before trying to build towards Sightstone, it technically would be a very gankable lane.
Yeah.
These guys are incredibly squishy. So the arms race right now that I feel like is going on between these bottom lanes to see who can just generate the most gold and be as greedy as possible is being won by FlyQuest. They've gone with the call.
Yep.
Right? So they are going to win out on the Greed Fest.
Absolutely the case. They also got the gank off in mid lane, and now High wants top side as there's only a Tiamat. Zig has no tank stats, will get stunned up as the rest of the damage going to come through. Triggers Thunderlords, look for more hits. Balls could flash for the chase. Going to go for the ulti just to chase him out a bit farther, and Zig just going to get to walk away. And now MikeYeung, though, spotted out in a bit of a 1v3. Can he blind inside the wall? He cannot, so he's got to flash this as he buys some time. Now he's going to grab the ultis instead. They're going to come in for the re-engage. Can they find it as Ryu shows up? 4v3 for a little bit of time. Balls really TP. No, it's going to be actually FlyQuest staying top lane for a turret as the chase is in for Elimination. Turret shots onto a special. He will stay alive. Elimination. There's a flash to follow. Flash to skate away, but now no route out, and the race is on for first blood. Summoner heal for move speed. And he's going to pop the RW for some sustain as well. The root is in. He's going to buy a few more. There's still no way he lives. First turret, by the way, dropped in the top lane as well as High stayed for that one. Elimination, though. Assist and kill over to Ryu for this one.
Turn?
I mean...
So he also doesn't want to give the kill to Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
So
or Corki. MikeYeung did damage more recently. Now it's Ryu.
Yeah.
And again, he wants... Yeah, there we go. All right. Trades the assist pool over. Ryu getting kill credit, taking a lot of time, though, for that one as the rest of the team resets.
Yeah.
First turret, top side, extra kill in the bot lane.
I say absolutely worth it for FlyQuest. Great job, Elimination, there. Because the first blood had already gone over, so the bonus gold is gone. First turret went over to FlyQuest there because they just stayed top with Moon and Balls. And they also got deep wards in the enemy jungle. They also cleared the enemy jungle. And Wild Turtle didn't even die. He gets to come back and keep farming. So aside from Ryu getting a kill, everything else goes heavily over into FlyQuest.
Yeah, nice stuff by them right here. You can see this gold lead now, 1,500. It has grown since the last time we called that number out. As the mid laners keep going back and forth in this one. Morellonomicon done for High, meaning first power spike acquired. He's going to feel happy. Balls has plenty of tank stats for himself. He's close to Spirit Visage, only the combined cost to go, so he's nice and tanky. As we just continue to wait for these bot lane marksmen to scale up for their items.
Yeah. Neither of them decided to go full cheese, by the way. So we see Eye of the Oasis upgrade on Elimination and a Sightstone upgrade on a special because he had a little bit less gold. I am personally disappointed. I think Garden Stencer is the real hype, but we haven't seen the NA pros at least switch over to this, even if a lot of LPL pros are going for it.
Chasing a turtle, slow him down, but he gets back into stealth, and he is not spotted, so Arrow will only attack minions now at this point. As they once again spot MikeYeung, who is once again sort of fruitlessly looking to gank down the bot lane. And he's actually starting to get pretty out-farmed by Moon as well. He's actually 700 gold behind his opposing jungler, so Moon has certainly done a better job on this very comfortable Jarvan. He was playing it before, it was cool.
Yeah. We're also seeing a potential dangerous point in the lane as well. The level 6 Lulu plus Kog'Maw speeding him up while his W's are active. Gets a lot of harass done onto the Twitch, who hasn't shopped in a while. I believe Wild Turtle would love to be able to finish Blade of the Ruin King. Arrow's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Sitting on large amounts of gold.
Yeah, Turtle back after the most recent fight to grab himself Berserker's Greaves, so he had shopped at least once a little bit. Arrow's sitting on a ton himself, and waiting to see what else can happen. Both these carries do have plenty of money. It just Turtle got a more recent recall, and technically has better items, just might not matter.
Cole just popped as well.
His Cole pop, which is a very big deal. It's going to be nice for him. And let's see if they're going to have this play happen. This Moon is still waiting in the wings, and I believe he was not spotted by much. Yeah, that ward never would have seen him come down through Tri-Brush. So they don't really know he's there, but no aggression's happening yet. Turtle's trying to bait. He's staying on half health.
Yeah.
No fight.
I still like that ward because you don't have... It doesn't get spotted by the control ward and brush, and if you're coming down from Krugs, you just expect to not be spotted by that ward, but you would.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna steal that one when I play bottom lane.
Same. Actually, I do sometimes already, but you know. See what comes in next for this one, though, as Turtle continues to scale up and wait around for the next big play. FlyQuest is holding on to the gold lead. And again, this is definitely an important battle. It means a spot in the postseason, most likely. A spot in the regional qualifier for the World Championship. P1 gets it outright with a win. FlyQuest gets it with a win here and an Envy loss in the quarters, I believe, is the requirement. And we'll see if that help comes through. CLG can throw one in for them. Knock down Envy for the squad. High back in lane. Sorkshoe's done now as well. This is actually the next really important power spike. It's about 8% more damage for a mage when you get this item, and as long as you're not hitting a hard tank like Zig is, and it's going to be pretty nice for him.
And Ryu still has not gone any magic resistance, so trying to stay greedy, does not want to have to stop for a Hex Drinker. In the grand scheme of the game, I can see why that would work with a front line of Gragas Shin and the shielding from Lulu. But in the laning phase, it is definitely very dangerous. One good stun from high, and your Jarvan gank, probably dead to the ult of the Syndra.
Unless he can get the exhaust in range, but that's got a shorter range than Syndra's spells do, so you can't always rely on that to make it work. Ryu's hoping that exhaust is going to be enough for this one. Koi's picked up on both sides. Again, the buff on the arrow, and yeah, you can see that's what this squad can do. You just press both the buttons and the chase is in. Turtle is always going to be chased away when that happens.
Yep. Might have a fight erupting in the top lane, though. Moon is here.
Here, the flash knockup is in. Shen comes in for the ulti as well. They're going to go back on high. There's the duck. Ryu's going to flash away. Look for the chase. The taunt is in. Zig, a couple more attacks to do it. And Ryu's going to cut away. He's not going to hit by the shot just yet. Going to look for the play. Not going to get stunned up, and they've bought enough time for him. Now he's got to get away from the roots. He's got to stay in the middle. No, he walks back into it. Gets tagged up, but staying alive. No one's chasing down on Ryu. The re-engage continues now on this 3v3 as Mike Young's in the fray, and now making a 4v4 as Lemon and Arrow show up. They want high, but no, the first kill comes through to Falls. And Zig's got a 4v4 destroy. The knockup is in for Lulu. The whole team is out. Showed up. The 5-on-5 continues on. Zig still tanky. Looks for high. Doesn't have the damage, though. Double kill for the mid laner. Special now ticking down in health. And he might just burn down with the poison. No, he's going to shield himself in timing. Special staying alive, but FlyQuest winning that fight 3-0.
Oh my goodness. It went on long enough that the bot lanes just all came up. The heal, I believe, from Lemon Nation helped High get away from the Shen taunt down the stretch. Just a massive swing in the game right there, and this is why Ryu didn't build Hex Drinker in his mind, because he had a Shen ult if he's gonna get all in. The Shen comes right there, he does get the exhaust off, which means High does a lot less damage, but they don't burst High by the time the Gragas ultimate hits him out, so he gets to stay alive in this fight. And now they're trapped between a Maokai, Jarvan, and Syndra, and it's about the bottom lane roams right here. Turtle's in base. He just got that Blade of Ruin King that he wants. Lemon is here. Watch this.
Yeah, do a sapling.
Yeah. Also heals High to dodge the taunt from Zig. Zig taunted in, which means he's dead too. The Lulu ult isn't enough to save him because Wild Turtle opens up on Aeronix Special. FlyQuest all roamed at just the right time, and this was a close game, but they may have just won the fight that breaks it open.
Yeah, that's huge now. 4,500 up. They've got a substantial benefit. Unlucky for Ryu, he actually walked into the Maokai ulti and a sapling after the fact, so just unfortunately didn't see it coming. That's rough for him. I know he wanted to do better than that. Turtle gonna try to keep his bot lane alive. Arrow and Special, it's really about them at this point. The only lane that's not really behind at this point is the P1 bot lane. And, well, Kog'Maw's got his Ruin King done. The Ardent Sensor is halfway there for Special. Maybe it can come online. It's a lot of work they have to do to make this happen.
Yeah, and even though they are a Kog'Maw Lulu team, I very rarely see an even Kog'Maw Lulu carry a game against a vastly superior team from a farm perspective. And that's what's happening right now. The Syndra is going to be so strong right now, and it's going to be a while until Phoenix1 can get really powerful shields from Lulu or magic resist on the Kog'Maw. Because that's the problem Kog is in, right? If he has snowballed ahead, he can build magic resist and still shred. But now, if he builds magic resist to not get one shot, he doesn't carry the game. And if he builds damage instead of the magic resist, he dies and doesn't carry the game. So you actually do need to be ahead in the hyper carry compositions as a team, as well as an individual.
It's something we've seen kind of be more commonly happening as we look for this Cloud Drake fight right now, but there's not really a chance to steal. Gonna look for it, not gonna get it. Moon smited at the right time, but there was a chance that Void, who's got it, is that we're seeing teams increasingly playing the same style of compositions, right? Heavy backline, double, triple tank, maybe a supportive support, enchanter instead of a tank support. But it means you have the same win conditions, which is line up and battle each other 5-on-5 more often than not.
Right.
And the team that has more gold just almost wins those outright because the outplay factor is much smaller. And it might just snowball out of control just like it has for a lot of games this week.
Yeah, and the odd variable in this game would be the Shen. potentially doing split push, but he's not ahead enough, and he's against a Maokai, so roaming down bottom. Let's see if they can survive.
Zig could join. Zig could join and Balls can't. So maybe something goes nice because of this one. Right now, it's going to be called off anyway. No play to be had. And all right, FlyQuest doesn't want to go for the hard play right there. As Balls keeps shoving in, he's going to spot Zig, and he sees that Zig is recalled back away to his base. Attempted fight, not going to be had. Back on the map they go with this still 4,500 gold difference. As the minis get cleared away, Wild Turtle feels a lot safer about the fact that he's got teammates that can roam more easily, and Arrow and Special are much less likely to go aggressive.
Yeah, and to go back to your win condition point of how these games can snowball out of control, let's just think about the way these team fights actually do play out. We call them front-to-back team fights because the front line, the tanks, are in the front, and the only way you really play these isn't with flanks, just going from the front line to the back line, and who can kill the tanks first to then gain access to the damage dealers.
By contrast, like diving, where you would ignore them, go over the top, and look for the back line first.
Exactly, because most team compositions are like, okay, what's the best way we can kill the damage dealers? Because usually when the damage dealers are dead, you win. When you have these types of team comps, like the Syndra doesn't usually flank. Sure, you could get a flank off, but then the tanks are going to CC you and you're going to die. So right now, try and think of the ways that Phoenix1 can kill Wild Turtle and hide, right? The Kog'Maw's not going to sneak behind to get anyone. He has to kill the Maokai and the Jarvan first, and Corki, he could maybe package in, but then once again, he'll be immediately CC'd and killed if he does that. Contrast that with FlyQuest, they open up with the ult on Wild Turtle, who's ahead right now, and an Ardent Sensor, which is soon to be completed, and you can imagine him killing the Shen and the Gragas much faster than the other front line's going to die, and therefore the other team will still have tanks and damage dealers and roll through for like a 5-for-0 fight, which then ends the game very quickly.
Absolutely. So we'll see if P1 can make the big play happen. You're hoping that maybe Mike Young can deliver that then. That if you're looking to kill the back line, make it the front line, get him that flank, get the explosive cast, bring in Turtle, maybe something goes well. That's potentially the hope. You have a Shen dive on top, and you know it's maybe on Mike Young and Zig then to find the isolations. The exhaust work special maybe buys enough time that their front line survives long enough. You hope that the outplays are there, that the champion is skillful. Right? Shen can make the team dodge. Like these little elements where maybe if it lines up just right, you can overcome the gold lead. But it is, of course, incredibly difficult, and it's going to be hard to do. P1, of course, not surrounding, hoping they can make this game happen. 4 kills apart, they can maybe find themselves some better rotations on this 4,000 gold deficit, get some of this back closer.
Yeah, and we also watched FlyQuest play Team Liquid yesterday, and that game was anything but a clean execution down the stretch, because there is a reason these teams are fighting to stay out of the promotion tournament, because they've struggled this split. We don't need to dodge around it, and the types of things we're seeing from the CLGs and the TSMs and the Cloud9s and the Dignitases closing out games very quickly doesn't need to be true for the bottom half of the standings as well. So a lot of outplay potential could still happen in this game, or a lot of mistakes to leave those openings.
We'll see if those openings are there. High with the Banshee spell completed. Got a nice chunk on a Ryu. That was pretty much one spell that got about a bit of his health bar off. Ryu going for, again, a very aggressive build, which I do think makes sense when you're behind. He needs the big play. He's going to find elimination for this one. He's going to jump back towards the brush, look for a TP out of balls. Will they bring in Shen? Doesn't matter just yet. Going to get the solo kill picked up. Nicely done. Triforce and aggressive build paying off.
Yep, and that's an example right there, right? The Karma was trying to get deep wards, but didn't have any front line in front of her. He ends up going down. Also should mention the Immortals, because they are actually the first place team right now. I was listing all the top teams. I was like, who did I forget?
It's like, you didn't mention Immortals. That's okay. Yeah, typical TSM Jap, bias against the other first place teams.
I'm naming all of them.
Yeah, managed to name Team Dignitas, of course, who's surprised about this one. But yeah, we are in this one, and hey, P1, they can find more of this. Again, the backline isolates itself. The Karma is caught warding, and as you mentioned, mistakes are part of the reason these teams are sitting at 4 and 5 match wins overall in a 17 match season so far, and it's mistakes like this that can let your opponents claw back in a little bit more. Red Buff going to go pretty cleanly to Ryu as he keeps trying to scale up and go for the high-end builds, and we'll see more of him later.
Yeah, both Twitch and Kog'Maw I think are very strong right now. Will be even stronger when they hit Hurricane, which is probably their next item. The
Cog isn't far from it.
Hurricane completed on Wild Turtle. Cog actually goes for the Executioner's Calling.
For the Maokai and the AoE Karma Shield, I guess I understand it. There was a Summoner Heal elimination as well, but it does slow him down a bit. Executioner is good on Hurricane users, easy to apply that, but it can only be applied by auto attacks. Nothing else Kog'Maw does deals physical damage.
Yeah, I think it's mainly just for the Maokai. Like, the Twitch lifesteal I don't think is substantial enough to need to cut in half this early on. I don't like it. I think he should have gone to finish his Hurricane, but understand.
Yep. Speaking of good builds, though, Moon, Adaptive Helm, I think, is incredibly smart in this case. The only damage dealers are repeated sources of magic damage. Don't mind what the tooltip says. Any source of magic damage is mitigated in repeat hits by Adaptive Helm. So Corki autos, Kog'Maw W, Ardent Sensor, all of these do apply. And again, it's repeated magic damage. This is definitely the best tank item Moon could buy, second to maybe like a later Frozen Heart or something to lower further attack speed.
Yeah, a lot of magic resist in general coming in for FlyQuest because there is so much magic damage being dealt from Phoenix1. But the Drake is up, and it looks like Phoenix1 is just in a farming pattern, probably giving that Drake away.
Elimination gonna go for the play with Wild Turtle. The burst is in, but watch out, there's 3 members. The body slam flash gonna land the knockback. He tried to break the flash, but Turtle still doesn't get hit by it, and a stun comes through. High is there for the play. Shen's gonna show up. Mike, you're gonna buy a few more seconds. Into the Maokai, gets the ulti across the team, and this could be a whitewash now as it looks like FlyQuest wants some more kills. They found out the Kog'Maw. Get him away. The dunk is in. They've got 2 kills already. Looking for a few more as Moon stays alive and FlyQuest drags away, and High's gonna be okay as well. 2 for 0 kills cleanly for FlyQuest.
Yeah, they don't even take the free Mountain Drake. They just go bottom lane and pick a fight. They end up winning it 2-4-0, get the turret, now they'll get the Drake as the icing on the cake.
And when they want to go for it right now, they're looking for a bit more dough. Icing can come in later as they're going to look for the re-engage here as one of the recalls came in. High now forced to run away. A nice little route by Elimination. Nice chunk back towards Ryu, but be careful. 2 more autos could kill you. And no more chase going to be had. So now they will go for that Mountain Drake Icing, and Turtle's going to start it for him.
Yeah, 6,000 gold plus a 2 Drake advantage. Sitting pretty in there right now.
And now it's just about P1 trying to lick their wounds as they're getting, sadly for them, farther away. As you can see, Turtles opens it up by himself, 1v3 unknowingly. Yeah,
well, basically, I think what happened is there was Corki and Shen shown in the mid lane, so even if FlyQuest could pick up the mid lane, they decided to do that. Really weird there how the ult didn't hit. Turtle basically late on his flash.
I think he essentially flashed late.
Yeah.
And it had already blown up.
Even though if he would have stood still, he would have dodged it. But then the rest of the fight is just more numbers there for FlyQuest. Is as simple as it could be. Ryu just now arriving when the fight is already over. Mike Young and Arrow have fallen.
Yeah, and one of the struggles of Mike Young has been adapting to the new champion pool. You mentioned his player of the games have all been on Nidalee and Elise, the really big individual contributors, which, you know, consequently, were actually available this game, but he and his team thinks the best call is to play tanks. That said, he's seemingly worse at them, as you mentioned here. Didn't ult properly. It was too early that even if he did flash it, he did flash it, still didn't hit. It was improperly timed, unlucky for him, and now Mike Young forced to retreat back again as FlyQuest starting to really take over territory. 25.5 minutes in. Ryu now in a bit of a 1v3, looks for High. Stun's going to land on Mike Young. There's Gragas here being attacked. Ulti's across. The damage output's almost there, but the shields keep him alive a little bit longer. Yeah, Curse of the Colossus procs for him because he ulted to escape. And that little bit of hard CC may have actually kept him alive, but this is a Mountain Draked up FlyQuest. And by the way, with Ardent Sensor and an AoE shield application, if he does that next, they could stay full health, but Phoenix1 is here. This could be a fight. All right, Phoenix1 minus Mike Young as he was healing and walking back down from base. TP gonna come in for balls in the flank right here. Baron still at half HP. Moon losing health over time. Gonna look for the play now to the front line, and Zig caught out for this one. The Shen gonna get the dodge zone though and stay alive a little bit longer, but he taunts away. Now the team is here. Malco, who's gonna hit just on the 1 so far. The rest of the team able to block it nicely, and now the taunt comes in for several more. Look at the burst damage across. Moon gets the knock up. There's the reset, and 1 picked off by Wild. They're looking for number 2, and he's gonna grab it. The double kill, and the 3rd comes through in the mid laner, and suddenly P1 missing 3 members, including their jungler, and this should be the Baron attempted by FlyQuest. Yeah, we're watching these fights. They're pretty straightforward. FlyQuest is just going in balls there. Push advances into the world. All 4 people. Still has half his health bar and is probably going to heal the full by the time this Baron goes away. Locket Shield helping out a lot with that. I think it's actually a very good individual teamfight item with how much bonus shielding it does if you get the value out of the shield. Watching this one more time, though, FlyQuest pretty much just baiting. They would love to be able to take the Baron. Moon ended up taking a little bit more damage than he would like, but they get a clean pick on his Zig. That burns the Lulu ultimate, and that means when Arrow is here now, he can't stand still and fire because he has no shielding to help him out. Maokai goes in, the Cinder Stun hits 3. It's all over from there because Wild Turtle's free hitting the whole time. Yeah, and Ball's able to just kite back, and even though the autos came in and he got dropped low, it wasn't enough. He was able to run back behind his team, and he had the safety there to make it easy. 2,000 damage out of the Kog'Maw, not the same as the 2,700 out of Wild Turtle. And being ahead and getting to free fire that ultimate just means a little bit more for him. And yeah, Phoenix1 have not been able to really get a lot done here. Picture coming in a little bit later for Ryu to give himself some more durability. Survive balls are high for a few more seconds at a time. Yeah, and 8,000 apart. This is kind of what we're talking about of how is the Kog'Maw going to carry the game from
equal gold or even being behind right now. He's opted for the defensive route or the utility route, right? I mean, if he doesn't do that, high flash ults him. But you compare that to Wild Turtle, who's about to finish his Infinity Edge, and that's just a totally different world of power.
Right, even if you don't die, you still can't do as much damage as Twitch, and I just feel like you have no winning options left anymore, but it's a choice that he went for in this one. 10,000 gold lead. FlyQuest want to knock down the inhibitor turret. That's going to be going down. Inhibitor now to follow. FlyQuest hoping they can make that run to the postseason just as they did with High, Balls, and the rest of the team in 2015. Looking for the engage right now. The knock's coming across. They're going to find Mike Young and a big back line as well. The stun coming across. The shields, they'll keep Ryu alive. Heading away, still running back, but the expunge comes through to pick up 2, and Wild Turtle on his 5th kill of the game. The inhibitor falls, and so does the rest of Phoenix1's hope. 1-0 in the match. FlyQuest going to win another sub 30-minute games. A lot of fast ones this week. This game 1 will go to FlyQuest, hoping once again to close this one out, get that final match win, and hope for a spot in the regional qualifier.
And all things being considered here, a very dominant win by FlyQuest. Every lane won. The only 2 deaths on the game were at elimination. The first death gave them a huge advantage because it took Phoenix1's whole team a minute to chase him down, and then the second one was a warding mistake. That's it. Everything else for FlyQuest was done just right.
And this is almost a perfect game, too, because no turrets, no drakes, no Rift Herald. Like, it really was 2 kills away from a perfect game, which is, you know, doesn't count, you know, in itself, but certainly.
It's a 2-hitter.
It's a 2-hitter, which is still very solid. You know, that can still be a shutout. At the end of the day, it's 1-0 in games, depending how good the hits are, I suppose. He didn't really infer that too much. But, yeah, it was a good game. And let's talk about, you know, how FlyQuest went around this one. They both went for pretty similar compositions.
Yeah.
The early priority and Maokai seemed to work out okay, and that Twitch certainly was nice too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that, even though they picked similar team compositions, that Phoenix1 picked super strong for themselves. The first pick, Maokai, into not getting what felt like huge value on the outside, when the Kog'Maw was basically just matched with the Twitch hypercarry for hypercarry. They didn't gain anything by having that early pick Kog'Maw when Twitch is just as effective, if not more. And then the Maokai flex pick is much more versatile than the Gragas flex pick from a strength perspective. So
I agree.
I did like what Lemonation and the rest of FlyQuest and ThinkCard, whoever's calling the shots in the drafting nowadays, did with that team composition, because they did the same thing from a scaling perspective that P1 did, but also had more tools to start fights.
Right, and I really do think, as we talked a little bit about in the beginning of the series, people playing for their comfort, and you again, we talked about a couple of Piglet Vayne games, Moon bringing out Ranger a couple of times. I actually do want to see Mike Young keep playing like the Nidalee and the Elise and things like this. Elise was available. We know a lot of teams, very good teams worldwide, still consider Elise a high priority champion. The best teams in LCK still respect the hell out of Elise. And when Mike Young's struggling to play tanks well, and your backs are against the wall, and unless practice was magical on his Gragas this week, you bring him back on things that he's proven to do well on and say, let's win an early game against this squad.
Yeah, and even if we just think about the end of that game, one of the reasons these games are so fast is because when FlyQuest when Phoenix1 falls behind, they just throw themselves at the opponent, which I think back in the day was the logic of, oh, the only way we'll win is if we try and do stuff.
Sure.
But lately I've actually seen the opposite. I've seen when teams farm out and try and maintain equality for a long amount of time, then do something, it's a way higher win percentage than throwing yourself at the opponent. I almost never see that work with the way teams are playing now. So don't like the way they're closing games either, but credit to FlyQuest for getting that big lead in the first place.
Fair enough, yes. We have some replays to show you guys. First one, 14.5 minutes in. It's a 3-0 for FlyQuest. All these fights tend to be good for them.
Yeah, and they all start with High landing a CC and Moon being right there. I think even though we talked a lot about the bot laners, this game was won around the mid lane jungle synergy between the two teams. You can see Ryu and High push out of this fight, and then they are winning this fight before the bot lanes arrive. If you're watching and tracking it, Zig is out of cooldowns, Ryu can't make it, and High is regenning up with the blue buff, still landing double stuns on the backside of the fight. Then the bottom lanes arrive, they have everything, but the fight was kind of already decided, and I feel like Elimination and Wild Turtle opened up beautifully on the opponent bot lane to make sure they couldn't have an impact.
And almost right there, Turtle could have gotten the 4th kill. He got the Karma shield, but didn't chase in. And then the Baron turn also went really well.
Yeah, and this is one where Phoenix1 is in the right place. Watch Mike just kind of waddle into the fight as FlyQuest was already peeling off of it. And then, man, the triple stun into just the tank fest that Phoenix1 didn't have the items to cut through at the time was heavily in favor of FlyQuest.
And some of that to do with like a minor criticism there is, again, Arrow stopping around to buy QSS to stop around and buy, and Executioner's calling it. The Hurricane done, maybe that looks a little bit closer, and this may be a bit more possible, but not the sole reason they would have won or lost the game regardless. as you look at the overall graph on this one. You know, really, really good contributions out of High in this game, heavily out damaging everyone else in this game. Moves us to talking about who could be player of the game on this one. I think there's a couple of different good options. I liked Moon, 100% KP, no deaths, good optimization, ganked really well, out-farmed, like, was substantially better than Mike Young this game and did a lot of good things. I mean, High also went unkilled, highest damage in the game. His stuns are really important. I don't love the bot laners for this because I think they were just kind of beneficiaries of the rest of the game. In my mind, it's between the two.
I agree. The bottom lanes greeted out, right?
Yeah.
They just went for the scaling options and they scaled. But when we're watching the way Moon and High did that setup, Moon was there, High started.
Yeah.
Is the way I kind of look at it. And High was 10 of 11 kill participation, which is 91%. So I would factor towards High, but we can always decide during the break.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll decide a bit later on. It's going to be one of the two, almost for certain, and we're going to get them the honors soon. But we're going to see if Phoenix1 can even up the score when we come back with Game 2, P1 versus FlyQuest. Stick around. Losing health over